All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to have you all here. I'm Dr. William. I'm going to kick it off tonight. Dr. Megan's going to come in the middle, and then you're going to hear me again at the end. So, as you can see, tonight is titled Restore Vitality and Burn Fat. So, I'm going to go over some information to that first. So, overweight and obesity. So, studies out there are starting to show that there's actually 41% of Americans are falling into the obese category, which is a large number when you consider there's over 300 million people living in the country. That's a lot of people. One thing I want to point out is it's okay to be comfortable with how you look, because we talked about body shaming and having a positive body image at this point. And that's okay, but we need to understand that different body types come with different consequences. For example, if you have obesity, it does put, or if you're overweight or obese, it does put you at higher risk for things like heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke or type 2 diabetes. If you choose to smoke with your lifestyle, that has its own risks. Everything comes with risks. So we're going to jump, I know I just talked about one thing, we're going to jump over to metabolism. So metabolism is basically how your body converts the fuel that you put in into energy. So it takes, all those fancy words like fats, proteins, minerals, vitamins, and it converts them into the energy that your body can use. It does two parts. The first part is it'll convert it into energy for immediate use, because our body's always needing that energy. That's why we get hungry. And the second one is it'll convert it into a different form for later use, where it's stored either in your liver, in fat tissue, or even in muscle tissue. And then metabolism can affect your cellular aging. So I'm going to explain a little bit here. I know I'm kind of jumpy and I'm trying to cover a few broader topics. Cellular aging is this. It's basically how fast your body has to replace its own cells. So think of it kind of like a sports car. If you put diesel into a sports car, you're going to break the engine down pretty fast, and you're going to have to replace it. So if you're putting in junk into your body, or you have damage to your body, that body's going to get turned, those cells will get turned over quicker, causing you to age quicker. If you have good input into your body, you take care of it, you put good things into it, you have better aging. Your cells last longer. As they last longer, they allow for better growth, better strength within your body. So now we got a whole bunch of different metabolic disorders up here. And I'm not going to get into all of them. You guys can read them all. But metabolic disorders are essentially, you have a disruption or interference in your process. So with diabetes, for example, which is on the list, you have an inability to either produce insulin or to receive insulin into your cells. That's a metabolic disorder. Some of it you're born with, some of it can happen over time because of how you treat your body. So that's what we're looking at for essentially what metabolic disorders are. And studies are starting to show that about 93% of us in America suffer from a metabolic disorder in one version or another. But most of us are unaware that we actually suffer from one, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, right? And that, I think I suffer from metabolic disorder of hair loss. That's nothing I can control, unfortunately. But it's one of those things. But it is fascinating. So many of us are walking around with things that are going on in our bodies that we're not aware of the damage it can be causing us. So some of the warning signs of metabolic disorder. You can see the nice list here. And the interesting part,
Hair loss.
What's that?
Hair loss.
Well, yeah, hair loss. I mean, that's not good, right?
There's different kinds of hair loss.
There's different kinds of hair loss. Both my grandfathers were bald, so I think I was getting the short end of the stick no matter what. But one of them interesting, as we started off with talking about obesity being more and more prevalent in America, we can see it's right here on the bottom of the list. It is something that is being more common and can be a factor into metabolic disorders or a symptom or a warning sign of metabolic disorders. So, what do we do at Freedom Chiropractic? We go over these things called the 5 essentials. I'm going to go over them really quick. I thought this had a laser pointer, but
It's the one that looks like a little laser beam. In the middle.
I tried that and it slipped this anyways. See, that's what it does to me. Chiropractic! I'm going to use my hand as a pointer. So with chiropractic, what that does, some of you have heard this, some of you haven't. Chiropractic is designed to remove interference from your nervous system. And we're going to get more into that later, but if you have disruption somewhere, you remove that disruption, things work better. Nutrition. You go back to that sports car analogy. Treating your body well, giving it the good fuel, the good energy, the good macronutrients, the fats, the vitamins, the proteins, the right amount of carbs. Those things are going to help you flow well. Next, you have mindset. Mindset is a really powerful thing. How do you view yourself? Do you talk down to yourself? Do you talk good about yourself? Those types of things will impact your body more than you realize. Oxygen and exercise. Well, fairly self-explanatory. It goes back to that sports car analogy. You take care of your sports car, it'll take care of you. Minimize toxins. I don't think any of us are going to go out and drink bleach tonight. If you do, that's a bad idea. But we don't deliberately put things in that we know will hurt ourselves. So think about that. And that one does tie back to that nutrition concept. What are you putting in that will hurt you or could hurt you? So, my next question is, what is health? I'm going to open it up. What do you guys think health is? And we don't have mics, so you got to speak out if you want to talk. Anyone? Angelique.
Okay, I think health is when your body is at its maximized level of balance between health and nutrition and all the 5 essentials. Because just because you feel good doesn't mean you don't have something inside that's wrong.
I like that. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. So I'm going to, just a second, Marie. So Angelique said, health is a good equilibrium in your body by having, basically applying the 5 essentials across the board. I'm summing up, but that's about right?
Yep.
Thank you. Maureen.
Well, I like to think of it as also being able to do what you want to do. So, you know, that means, again, back to probably 5 essentials, but, you know, or maybe it's what happens when you're healthy is you get to do what you want to do.
I think that's really important. A lot of times we start to limit ourselves. I'm too old, or my knee hurts and I can't do that. And so we stop ourselves from being able to do the things that we enjoy or that we want to do. And we talk about, you know, I've got teenagers in my house, so we talk about them being in the prime of their life. Well, if you take care of your body, you're able to extend that prime, be able to enjoy all aspects, all phases of your life because you've taken care of yourself. Doesn't matter what you're coming across in things. Thank you. I think those are really 2 really good comments. So, what controls your healing? There's a quote that we have, if you ever look in one of our 2 treatment rooms where we go over the x-rays with you, there's the one with kind of the gas and brake pedal, and at the bottom, it's a quote from Dr. Bruce Lipton, and it says, you cannot be in growth and protection at the same time. And I love that because that is so true. You can't. You can't do 2 things at once. There's two parts of the autonomic nervous system that we really focus on at Freedom Chiropractic. Your sympathetic, which is kind of like your gas pedal, and your parasympathetic, which is your brake pedal. More commonly, they're known as fight or flight for sympathetic, or rest and relax, rest and digest for your parasympathetic. If you're too dominant with one or the other, you're not going to have success. You need to have that equilibrium. And that is what causes healing and promotes healing within your body. Causes of interference, and I really do like this phrase, interference. I think we all think of something that's just kind of annoying or getting in our way. And it's kind of like the 3 T's. Thoughts, we went over that earlier with mindset. How you view yourself, good and bad, affects you. How you allow other people to affect you, affects your thoughts. Traumas, that's kind of straightforward. Physical injuries, you have them, they impair you. I dislocated my shoulder my right shoulder when I was 12. 30-something years later, it is still a problem for me from time to time. It is a trauma that I have to live with for the rest of my life. And then toxins. Again, I go back to, what are you putting in your body? Is it good? Is it not good? How will that impact you long term? All right. And Dr. Megan is up.
So, I have to start out by saying, because I have to say this every workshop I do, because it's still true 5 years later, that you guys still make me really nervous. My armpits are sweating right now. So I had to get that out. No, I feel better. Yeah, so we're going to start with food and toxins, chemical interferences. And so basically, like Dr. Will said, food can either be nourishing or it can be damaging to you. So really knowing what you're putting in your body is extremely important. 73% of foods that you can find in stores are processed. This food makes up 57% of the average American diet, which then contributes to 2/3 of America being either overweight or obese. And so, yeah, knowing where your food comes from is extremely important, because these refined foods, these processed foods, at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're disrupting your body's natural metabolism to do what it needs to do. And so then we're just stuck in this cycle of trying to manage our weight. And when I say that, I'm going to be saying, I don't want to say weight loss tonight, because that's not everyone's story. For some people, it's they're trying to gain weight, they're trying to put on muscle mass. For some people, it is weight loss along with that muscle mass. And for others, it's simply just maintaining their weight wherever they're at. So I'm going to refer to all weight journeys as weight management goals, okay? So whatever that looks like for you. But these refined foods, like I said, they're gonna disrupt that process, and you're gonna have a hard time reaching your goals because of it. So, hey, look at that, I have a slide for it. So quality really matters for anything that you put in your body or on your body. So we're gonna get to the toxins a little bit later. But knowing where your food comes from, what your food is eating, what the process of your plants, how those are being grown, your fruits and your vegetables, it's all super important, because quality matters when it comes to what you're putting in your body. And so, like, I'm gonna emphasize protein tonight as well, because it is such a undermined thing when it comes to weight management. This is like the missing ticket for the majority of people. By eating your protein, you're going to be fuller for longer. It's going to allow you to burn more calories at rest, because eating protein, your body has to work harder in order to digest that protein. So for those who had a high protein dinner tonight, you're burning more calories than the person next to you who just had vegetables and carbs and fats. Not saying who did that, but yeah, it's super important, and especially for women. I can guarantee you are not getting enough protein. Guarantee it, because it's super hard to get enough protein. I've been very, very focused on getting enough protein, and I still don't make the cut every single day. And a super simple like, this is basically a super simple rule of thumb for everyone when it comes to your protein goals. You take your goal body weight, whatever that is, and you're going to try and get that in grams of protein every single day. So if your goal body weight is 150 pounds, shoot for 150 grams of protein. And it is not easy. I'm trying. It is hard. And I love meat. Dr. Jason is pescatarian. Hi, you're back there. I don't know how he gets all his protein in, but I'm sure he does. But one thing that makes it so much easier is a good protein shake, okay? As far as like powdered proteins go, our protein that the Designs for Health protein is my absolute favorite. It is not chalky. It doesn't have that weird taste at the end, like that whey taste. It doesn't get clumpy. It's for sure one of my favorites. The other one that I've recently discovered is it's Fairlife protein. It comes in a bottle like an already mixed up shake. You can find it in a 12-pack at Costco for like 26 bucks or something like that. And it's 26 grams of protein per bottle, which is a lot of protein. They have another one that's 46 grams of protein. I have not been able to find that in bulk anywhere. I find it at random grocery stores. We found it in the commissary on base, so if you have access to base, you can get it the cheapest there. It's not cheap, but it is a super easy go-to, like pour it in my cold brew in the morning and bam, 46 grams of my protein goal done for the day. That's over 25% of what I need first thing in the morning. And so utilizing a good protein shake to your advantage is gonna go a long ways to help you reach your protein goal. Some other little statistics for you are 1 cup of ground beef is gonna give you 32 grams of protein. 1 cup of like diced up chicken is 38 grams. 3 ounces of salmon is 17, and then 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is 8. So, I like this question. How many people will have eggs for breakfast in the morning? How many, like, we'll say 2 to 3 eggs? Yeah, is that 2? About average, 1 to 3, we'll say? Okay, so does anyone know how many grams of protein 1 egg has? It only has 6 grams of protein. So for those that are eating their eggs in the morning, like they're 1 to 2 eggs, you're only getting 6 to 12 grams of protein, thinking that you might. It's like a common misconception that eggs have tons and tons of protein, which they do for how small they are, but it's not enough. Sorry, everyone, eat more eggs. Yeah. So
Add extra protein to your eggs.
yeah, add some extra protein to your egg. Oh, fix it, we're good. Yeah, and so it's just knowing how much protein you're actually getting. So utilizing a food tracker app is gonna help you know this. I utilize Google all the time. Simply type in your food and say nutritional facts, and it's going to give you your carbs, fats, proteins for every food. So if you don't know how much protein is in an egg, Google it. It will get you pretty dang close. Or using a food tracker app. And if you're truly wanting to track your protein to see how close are you getting to that goal, use an app. MyFitnessPal is great. I've used Carb Manager in the past. They're all super helpful. You can go old school and write it all down if you want. And then knowing where to find it on the nutritional facts, it's at the very bottom of that list of numbers and words and things. It will say protein. There's your number. So tracking that protein, knowing how close you're getting, and again, your goal weight is the amount of grams that you should be shooting for every single day. Any questions about that?
Yes.
Yes.
Could you repeat the names of the protein drinks?
Yeah, so we have our
Yeah,
Designs for
that
Health one,
Mhm.
and then it's Fairlife, and it's Core Power.
Okay.
That's what it says on it.
Thank you.
I believe our plant protein has 16 grams, and then our grass-fed whey protein has 21 grams per serving.
And they just changed all the formulations, if you read the
They
ingredients.
did. These are the new ones. These are the new formulations for
Old
Designs
ones.
for Health.
So can you double up on
Like
scoops
2
of
scoops?
protein?
Yeah. The thing to be careful with that is knowing how many calories you're taking in as well, because if your goal is weight loss, you need to be in some kind of calorie deficit at the end of the day. So being aware of that number. So that shake that I was talking about, the Fairlife, it's like the chocolate one is 240 grams or 240 calories, and then I add it to cold brew, which is like another 15 calories. And so that will usually be like a breakfast, or like if I don't have time for a lunch that day, then that'll be a good, and it fills me up because of how much protein is in it. That's the other thing, is the more protein you eat, the more full you're gonna feel for longer, and you're not gonna wanna snack in between meals. Yes.
Really quick, I see that plant protein meal.
Yeah,
It says
the
pea
yeah,
protein.
pea
Is there
protein.
any soy in it?
Oh, I don't think so, but we need to double check, cause like I said, they just changed this.
Okay.
And I haven't had a chance to look deeply
Okay.
into it, yes.
Okay.
That's a great question. Sorry, I don't have the answer. I can get it for you though.
Sorry.
Dr. Will can look it up for us. Can't you, Dr. Will?
It doesn't say, this one doesn't say.
Is that the new one?
It's plant, it doesn't say pea, but this one
Okay.
doesn't have any soy.
Yeah, so that's still the old one.
Yeah.
If you go on the Designs for Health website while I'm talking, you can look it up on there. Any other questions? Okay, so we're gonna move on to toxins. So, toxins are a big deal, and they are undermined a lot of the time as far as what they can do to your weight loss goals or your weight management goals. They're not thought of as an issue, but what they do at the end of the day is they are called endocrine disruptors, and what that means is that it's going to disrupt your hormones. If your hormones are disrupted, then your body isn't going to be functioning the way it's supposed to be, and when your body isn't functioning the way it's supposed to be, your weight management is going to go one way or the other. For some people, it's they can't put on weight and they're struggling in that side of things. For other people, it's they're putting on too much weight and they can't lose it. It's different for everybody, but at the end of the day, it's messing with your hormones. So, before we dive deeper into the toxin section here, I will say that Caddy and I, if you don't know who Caddy is, she was our x-ray tech prior to Savannah. Her and I did a in-depth detox workshop this last year. It is on our YouTube channel. I highly recommend watching it because we go into way more detail in that workshop. Like, that was the sole focus, whereas today we're trying to cover a bunch of topics. So I'm gonna go over the basics of it. Highly recommend watching that workshop or rewatching it if you were there, just to see again how these actually affect your nervous system, your hormones, everything. Okay, so endocrine disruptors, like I said, they disrupt your hormones, and the biggest thing is knowing how to find them, what they are, and what to do about it. And so these are our top 5 endocrine disruptors that you're going to be exposed to throughout just normal day-to-day life. We have unfiltered water, our Frankenfoods, household cleaners, cosmetics, aluminums, and heavy metals. And so for the water, making sure that your refrigerator or your sink has a filter on it, making sure that you're changing that filter when you should be. For the foods, we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a minute, but avoiding processed foods. Go for whole foods. If it doesn't have a label on it, great, eat that. Our household cleaners, our cosmetics, and our heavy metals. Well, actually, we'll go to household cleaners and cosmetics. For these can be tricky because there's this thing called greenwashing happening nowadays where they make the box and the product look like it's a really clean, organic thing, but then when you look at the ingredients, it's not. And so for this one, the tool that you want in your pocket, it's 2 apps. One's called Think Dirty and the other one's called Yuka, Y-U-K-A. You can take that out, scan products in the grocery store, scan foods, and it's gonna tell you how toxic that product is, as like breaking down the ingredients, telling you how toxic each of those ingredients are, and it also gives you recommendations for better products. So that makes life so much easier. For household cleaners, we always recommend Norwex at Freedom. If you want more information about that, we have a rep. So text the office, say, hey, can I get the Norwex rep information, and we'll give you them, their information to you. But they're a trusted brand as well that we always recommend. But do your research, you know, use your tools in your pocket to know what, again, you're putting on your skin and potentially ingesting without knowing it. For your aluminum and your heavy metals, so these are gonna be like your pans. Avoiding the non-stick pans as much as possible, going with stainless steel or cast iron is your best bet. Avoiding plastic water bottles, and doing stainless steel water bottles and then glass food containers. There we go. Any questions there? I know I went through that quickly, but.
What about ceramic?
Yeah, that's good. Unless it's starting to chip. So, yes. Cool. Any other questions? No? Okay. Okay, so when it comes to detoxing and avoiding toxins, I always like to recommend 2 birds with 1 stone by looking at your nutrition first, because the majority of your toxins are going to come from your food. And if you clean up your food, like trying to clean up the toxic food, you're also going to be cleaning up your diet, which when it comes to weight management, the world of weight management, it is 80% in the kitchen and 20% physical fitness, which we'll get more into that in a little bit as well. And so we recommend Max Living's core and advanced plans. For those that have been here for more than several months, you guys should have been given the Align Your Health book, okay? For those that have started in the last couple months, you've been given the mini books. It's 3 books. They essentially say the same things. The 3 mini books are new for those that have the Align Your Health book and you want the mini books. We have them for purchase, so just, it should be on your sheet, I think. So if you're wanting those, I highly recommend them. I love them. They're like the quick hitter guide for your nutrition. There's 1 book on chiropractic care in general, 1 book, or the 5 essentials, 1 book just for nutrition, and 1 book for recipes, and they're super thin, itty bitty. Dr. Will was holding them up a second ago. See, look how little itty bitty that is. You can like put it in your back pocket and take it everywhere. Share it with your friends. But yeah, this is your guide. If you're looking to truly make some dietary changes, it tells you step by step, eat this, not that. It makes it so simple. I highly recommend it. The core plan is gonna be more for, I'm at a good spot, I just wanna clean up my diet, but I'm managing where I'm at. Whereas the advanced plan is going to be geared more towards weight loss. And then after you finish that plan, you would move into the core plan. Does that make sense? But yes, it is written out for you right there. Yeah, okay, so since we all have different readiness levels, I did want to break down the basics for you of what you need to do when it comes to cleaning up your diet and eliminating those toxins. So whole foods, like I mentioned, if it doesn't have a label or packaging on it, meaning fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, what you see is what you get type stuff, that's what you want to go for. That's going to be minimally processed as well. And then again, those natural sources, knowing where your food comes from, knowing what your food is eating. You want to go for grass-fed beef, pasture-raised chicken, and wild-caught fish. Okay? Questions about that? No? Yeah, easy peasy. And then the big obvious one is no added sugar. So on a nutrition label, I really wish I should have put up a nutrition label for you guys, but on a nutrition label, you're gonna have carbs, and then under that, there'll be like a subsection of added sugar. You want that added sugar to say 0. If you have carbs and it says sugar in there, that's fine. That's natural sugars that are found in the food. Like fruits are gonna be higher in carbs and natural sugars, but you don't want any added sugar in there, so you want that number to say 0, okay? Any questions? Okay, sweet. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, we're going to mindset and genetics now. So, we've all heard it. I'm sure some of us have said it. It is not my fault, it's my genetics. Who has said it or heard it? Oh, there we go. I like my honest people. So when people say this, generally they are thinking like, I have a family history of heart disease, my parents were overweight, like all my grandparents passed away from strokes, you know, things like that. There is a small percentage of the population where yes, genetics takes a factor in their ability to control their metabolism. But for the majority of us, you can control it. You just have to have the tools and the motivation and know what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, your genes are not being used against you. Sorry, I skipped my slide. At the end of the day, your gene regulation and activation depends on your food, how much damage is happening to your cells from toxic exposure, physical fitness, alcohol, and then mindset. Those 5 things you can control. You just have to know how to do it, which is why you came here tonight, to learn how to do it. So, does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And so, we've already talked about food, we talked about toxins, so now we're gonna talk about fitness a little bit. So I said earlier that when it comes to weight management, it's 80% in the kitchen, 20% in the gym. That's 100% true. If you go to the gym, I've done this before, I'll admit it. If you go to the gym, you work out hard, and you're like, I earned a burger. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You have calories in and calories out is what it comes down to. I don't care what any of your fitness trackers say. You did not burn 1,000 calories at the gym. I promise. You just didn't. It is notorious that all fitness trackers go a little high. Like it's not a super precise, accurate thing. It gets you a pretty good idea of what you're burning in the gym, but going to the gym to burn calories should not be your goal. When you're going to the gym, it should be to lift heavy stuff, especially women, lift heavy stuff, and build lean muscle mass, okay? Those are the factors. That lean muscle mass is becoming more and more seen as the key to longevity and health. And it's because we don't lift enough heavy stuff, especially women, so go lift heavy things. And that comes back to the nutrition. In order for you to build that muscle mass, you have to get your protein. If you don't have enough protein, you're not gonna build muscle mass. In fact, you're just gonna start losing muscle mass because your body needs to pull it from somewhere for energy. So one, making sure you're getting enough food, you're getting enough protein, and you're doing exercises that are gonna help rebuild those muscles. And going on the treadmill and walking for 45 minutes, it's not gonna help you build the muscles that you need. So I'm not saying you need to go like start doing deadlifts and squats or anything like that. You can still get a great workout in with like dumbbells or kettlebells. You just need to push yourself a little bit. Like don't settle for that little 5-pound weight with your bicep curls when you know, like Chelsea the other day, I'm calling her out. We were at OTF and she's sitting there curling like a little 15-pounder, and I was like, grab, what was it, 20? 20. I was like, grab the 20s, and she did it. She curled it. It was a struggle, but she did it. So you can do it too. Go Chelsea, good job. Does that make sense to everyone? The relationship with the kitchen and the gym and everything? Great, any questions? No? Cool. Okay, next one, alcohol. So this kind of goes into that mindset side of things. At the end of the day, some of us might like going home, having a beer, having some drinks with friends on the weekend, which is fine and dandy. It's just knowing what it does to you, okay? And so, let me grab my little notes here. So, alcohol is going to hinder fat burning because your liver and everything is going to prioritize metabolizing the alcohol instead of burning fat. So you can go to the gym, eat great, and then have a beer, and it's gonna set you back a little bit. And so that's one. The second thing is that it's going to stimulate your appetite, and so you're going to want to snack more. And with those snacks, you're going to be craving salty and greasy foods. So, again, knowing what it does to you, being aware of it. If you're ready to like give it up completely, great. If you're not, that's fine too. Just be aware and know what it's doing. So, any questions there? No? Alright, and then last one is mindset. So like Dr. Will had mentioned earlier, mindset, it's huge when it comes to your weight management goals. And it's a hard one, it really is, because you can get started on your weight loss journey if that's what your journey is, and you can see no changes, and it's really like discouraging, and it makes us want to give up, and we're like, okay, this isn't working, why am I even doing it? And so that just sets us into this loop, right? And so knowing that if weight loss is your goal, it's a process and it takes a long time. You didn't get this way overnight. We say this all the time. You didn't get this way overnight. It's not going to go away overnight. You just have to keep working at it. People, your friends, your family, they're going to see those changes in you before you do, like physical changes. But being aware of how you feel before you start your journey compared to where you feel when you're 2 weeks into it. Like, I promise you're gonna feel a big difference, especially if you do those simple diet changes with the whole food and eliminating the sugars. Like, just that alone, plus getting in some exercise every single day, is gonna do wonders. And so, yeah, finding what helps you, like, find your inner peace and, like, come up with a mantra for yourself of, like, I'm awesome, I'm great, I am strong, like, whatever it is, whatever gets you fired up and keeps you moving, you gotta find that. Because I would say for the majority of people, the reason that they quit their fitness journeys is because of this right here, and it's hard. But that's where we're here for you, like, every step of the way. Freedom is here to help cheer you on and get you through the hard times. And so use us as your accountability buddy and get you through it, because if you do, you'll do great things. So. Oh, great. All right, Dr. Mill's up. Oh, it's this one. It's this one.
Okay, cool. So just to answer the question about the pea protein, it is gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, vegan, sugar. Doesn't say free, but I'm assuming it's sugar-free. Alcohol-free, grain-free, lactose-free, and casein-free. So it's free from a lot of stuff except protein.
Oh, that's good.
So, all right. So we have this nice chart here where it kind of rates vitality, 0 to 10, that's our energy levels, right? One thing I want to deviate a little bit on this, we're going to see this, but my analogy is different. Check engine lights. Who's seen them? When you see them, do you get a pit drop in your stomach? I certainly do, right? It's never a pleasant sign. You're thinking, holy crap, how much is that going to cost? It's a sign. A check engine light is designed to warn us of dysfunction or occurring somewhere else, usually in our engine. That's what symptoms are for us as people. So when we're on this vitality scale, when we're experiencing a lot of symptoms, we're dropping down to that 0, and that vitality drops down, those symptoms are our check engine lights. They are our warnings that something else is going on. There's an interference or disruption occurring elsewhere that we need to look at. Now, my parents are older, and they're kind of the generation, I think there's someone at the door trying to get in. They're of the generation where doctor tells you what to do, you do it, right? Now, we're not that same way. We start to ask, why am I having this happen? What is going on with me? We're trying to figure out the why and the what, right? Just like a mechanic looks at your car and tries to figure out, why is the check engine light going on? What is going on? We're trying to do that with our bodies. And I think it's a great thing for us to be doing, because that gives us more control over everything. More ability to look at what's going on. How can I fix that? How can I correct that? And it kind of goes back to that one system that does control everything, your nervous system. And here it is. So this is why your nervous system is so important. You can see on the diagram here, it innervates from out your brain. It does all your 5 senses. It helps with your organ functionality. Your brain forms your spinal cord, which runs down the spine. All the nerves from our entire body come either out of our brain or our spinal cord. So if there's disruption within that nervous system or interference within that nervous system, it parlays out into symptoms somewhere else, right? You're not going to think, oh, well, I have a headache, so that means my occipital nerve is pinched, and therefore that's the problem. You know, we're thinking, I have a headache, why is that coming from there? Or I have a stomach ache, our first thought is, gee, what did I eat? Instead of, is there interference occurring within my nervous system causing something to trigger this type of response? So, with that in mind, our spine covers our spinal cord. I love this analogy. Who here has ever played with a hose and bent it? What happens? The water stops flowing. Your water flowing through the hose is your spinal cord. The hose is your nerve, is your spine. So if there's a kink, or I like the word subluxation, within that spine, that creates interference, preventing good flow from your nervous system down your spine and out to whatever part of the body. Sometimes it doesn't always make sense. You can get a kink in your neck and it can affect something in your digestive system, or subluxation in your neck. It doesn't always have to correlate location to location, but they are connected. And so that is our armor. And I was going over the subluxation here. So you can see healthy, healthy. Guess which one's not healthy, right? The red one, because that's putting pressure on that disc, pressure on that nervous system. The nerves become irritated. Irritation causes interference. Interference causes the presentation of symptoms. And that's that. There we go. So what are some of the warning signs of subluxation? So one thing you've all heard, for those of you that have been into our office, we talk about forward head posture. We talk about that arc of life in that neck. As that neck gets straighter, or we jut our head too far forward, we go out of that natural curve spot of about 40 to 45 degrees, where everything's nice, properly aligned, it has a nice cushion and support, and you start to put strain on that. You have too much strain as you're going forward, then that puts pressure on the nervous system, which can produce symptoms like headaches. This was really cool as I was doing the research for this. The Journal of Hypertension, which is a scientific publication, has research out there and studies showing that chiropractic adjustments can actually help reduce high blood pressure, which is really cool. A couple of adjustments can help to reduce it in individuals with high blood pressure. So that means that's causing interference somewhere within your nervous system. That's then putting pressure, causing that blood pressure to increase. You remove that interference, that helps with your high blood pressure. Another thing, you get, in particular, this applies a bit more to your neck or your cervical spine. If you have subluxations occurring there, that can affect the serotonin levels within your body. If you have an effect of the serotonin levels, that can cause more depression or even insomnia, because those are controlled by your serotonin levels. So there's lots of little things out there that affect bigger things. We don't always make that correlation. It all ties back to that nervous system, which is really powerful. And as a society, as a world, we don't understand how impactful it is. But that's what we're trying to share with you, how impactful it is, and help you get that better. So, one of the things that we do in our office, we get those x-rays. Why? Because the x-rays show us what's going on with your spine. Where are there issues? Where could there be problems? It lets us know, hey, how are your curves looking? Are they the right degree, right positioning? And it allows us to know, to the degree, to the millimeter, how we can help you and where we need to help you to ease that pressure off your nervous system and help it function better. That's why we do them, and I love it. That's why we do it with consistency and regularity, and we go over those x-rays with you. We don't just take them, look at them, tell you this is what your problem is, and you never see them. We sit down, we show you, we review with you. And for those of you that have been coming to Freedom Chiropractic for a bit, you can see where you've been to where you are, and you have that comparison, so you know your progress, which is powerful. Knowledge is power. So, for those of you that are interested, the first step is, if you want to get checked out, we're offering an opportunity tonight. It is, I'm just gonna go to this page because it's easier. We don't exactly do this whole thing. We do it in 2 visits, but for $49, an opportunity for $49 to check out your nervous system, to see what's going on deeper for you, to understand what could be causing those symptoms that you're seeing where interference in your nervous system could be occurring. So your first visit and your second visit, we combine together. So we go over a consult, we do an exam, and we do x-rays. Sometimes we can do a nervous system scan, just depends on the individual case. Then we do a treatment the same day. And what I like I said, what I love is we do a follow-up where we sit down and we go over those x-rays with you so you have that knowledge of what's going on. And then at the same time we say, hey, here's how we know we can help you. So if you are interested, this is an opportunity tonight. You can talk to Savannah. She'll be back at the supplement table about that. And that's pretty much, that's it. The nervous system, I know, I end abruptly. I'm not good at finishing. You ask my wife if we go visit friends, I'm like, she has to kind of usher me out the door. But the nervous system is powerful. Understanding everything we've gone over, the 5 essentials, it's all powerful stuff, and it can really transform your life. For those of you, I recommend that are here for the first time, take advantage of it. Those of you that are here, have been coming, take advantage of it, again, with some renewed vigor, and change your life. Thank you.